Protesters took their anti-gun hate to NRA headquarters over the weekend. The usual protesters were all there with their armed security. That's right. And lots of protesters who don't know much about guns.
I'm Linda, and I agree with banning fully semi-automatic guns, definitely.
What's a AR-15?
From my understanding, anything that has automatic loading and refiring is something that can kill more people more quickly.
Even automatic loading, too. They don't know what they're talking about, which means they have no credibility. An automatic weapon is not an AR-15, okay? Our military uses them. They don't use AR-15s. But you see, when they don't know what they're talking about, and they talk about fully semi-automatic firearms, they take away any credibility they think they have going into a march like this. And then, of course, David Hogg, the activist from Parkland student who was marching outside of NRA headquarters, he had armed security with him. Once again, all of these leaders of these movements have armed security. And it's their right to have it. And I don't want to take that right away from them to have armed security. But it looks awful hypocritical when you have armed security but want to take everybody else's rights away to protect themselves. The story didn't get a huge amount of coverage by the mainstream media because few people showed up, and I think it would have called into question just how strong the anti-gun movement is. It's not very strong at all. But I do want to show you how MSNBC covered all of this. It's bias. You'll hear the reporter talk about this great conversation between gun haters and supporters and NRA supporters, but then listen to who she talks with.
The police have actually separated out the folks who are here with the March for Our Lives group and the counter-protesters, various local organizations that are pro-NRA. And what we saw in the beginning was that these people were coming together, both sides trying to have a constructive conversation about the gun control debate. Many of the students here told me that's actually what they're trying to accomplish with this movement. But as we've seen towards the end of this, the space between has been bridged by megaphones where people are just kind of shouting at each other. NRA. And some of the students have told me that this is actually one of the roadblocks, as they see it, to spurring a more national legislative conversation on guns. Take a listen.
The NRA's money has been funding a lot of inaction, right? They don't want lawmakers to take any specific action. They want them to just stay away from their guns.
Well, he's right about that. We do want lawmakers to stay away from our guns. Now, who she talked to was an anti-gun activist. Did she ever go across the way there and talk to pro-gun activists? I didn't see it at all. MSNBC was there. They were hoping to get a bigger crowd, I think, than they got. They didn't get very many out there. But they were stationed on the side of the anti-gun activists. Go figure. That's who they do the bidding of. I will also say this. For all of my years in the mainstream media, it is journalism 101. That if you're at a rally and protest like that, where you have two competing sides with two equal amount of people, at the very least you have to run a soundbite from one and a soundbite from the other. That didn't happen. Once again, it's lying by omission. We talk about that all the time.